It's always a pleasure to see the Irish Film Festival, which is coming up very shortly, October 5th to November 5th. And it's the ninth Irish Film Festival. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to Enda Murray, as always, about this year's Irish Film Festival. Enda, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thanks, Peter. Great to be with you again.
Always good to talk to you, and I see it's a national event as well as being online. And in Melbourne, it will be at the Nova Cinema. Anyway, tell me about the Irish film industry. I get the impression that more films are being produced, and it's doing quite well.
Yes, you'd be correct there, Peter. I started off this year with a short list of 43 films, which for a country of 5 million people is pretty good. Annual output. I think it's certainly up there with kind of New South Wales or Victoria. Look, what can we say? We've had the Banshees of Inisherin, Quiet Girl. On TV, we've had Derry Girls and Bad Sisters. The industry is pretty good. Look, I think in the past the Irish are well known for the writing, and I think in the early years of the last century we weren't making that much, but we're a bit like Australia in the terms of the 1970s. We had a new wave, and then the film board was established in the 80s and had a few hiccups, but in the last 20 years, I think the funding has been pretty steady. I think I get the impression personally that the arts are very well regarded in Ireland, and while we as artists, we're all still starving artists, but we get a bit more. I think we get a bit more respect in Ireland as artists, but seriously, yes, that things like the big American shows coming in, that's a lot of support for that, also I suppose the other things, like with Brexit, we are now the only English-speaking country in the EU, and there's a lot of tie-ins, a lot of co-productions with the EU. So there again, Brexit being a disaster for, but that's another discussion. But look, but also, but just from our location, on 5 hours to New York, there's quite a bit of interplay with the States, and so we're ideally placed, and I think that has also helped in terms of the communication and just kind of general to and fro, and kind of quality of the technicians. But certainly, like the look at well, we've actually got an Oscar winner in the program this year with An Irish Goodbye, which is a very charming little film made in Belfast, when you see it, you'll understand exactly why it won the Oscar. It's hilarious and yet very touching. Just works on a couple of different levels. A beautiful story. So we've also got an Oscar winner in Olivia Colman, and she's appearing in Joyride. So I have done Q&As with 9 of the directors, and Emma Reynolds was one of the directors, the director of Joyride, and I asked her, how did you get Olivia Colman on board, because it's not a huge budget, but she said, they just they spoke to her, and she liked the script, and she jumped on board. So I think, you know, it's like little accidents like that help the industry along and push it along.
Yes, exactly. I've seen Joyride, and it's a really good road movie, and especially with her relationship with this teenage boy and so on. It's a really nicely made film, so I'm glad it's in the festival. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I don't know why it didn't get a release in Australia. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it did, but I keep an eye on the Irish films, and yeah, that was why I went and went for it this year, because I couldn't see that it had got a general
No.
release in Australia. So well, all good for us. And we've got it in our festival, so I'm delighted. And as I say, it's a rip roaring film. It's great. It's a great laugh.
It is. It is very enjoyable. The other film I've seen is Lakelands, which is a really powerful little story about this guy who is a dairy farmer and then has concussion on the football field, and the impact that has on his life and everyone else around him. It's a really nicely made film.
It is a very nicely made film, and strangely enough, that's the first feature for these guys. And the lead, Aina Hardwick, is a man who's on the up. He's just completed a 4-part drama, which is available on the BBC platform in Australia. The Sixth Commandment. It has screened on BBC in the UK, but Aina Hardwick is a very creepy serial killer, and a very convincing creepy serial killer, as it turns out. But that's a series that's done very well for him, and I think just shows the quality of the talent. I really like this film. I saw this film in Galway at the Galway Film Festival, and I think only Victorians would understand the passion for the Irish rules football. That you know, it is possible there has been mixed rules games between Irish rules and AFL, but certainly in Ireland, the place of the football is very, very special. It's a cultural pursuit as well as a sporting pursuit, and I thought that they captured that very well, because it's such a huge part of growing up in Ireland, and especially in small town Ireland. And I thought they captured. It's a story that hasn't been told before. This relationship with the sporting and cultural code, but they also acknowledged the history and made a very contemporary film about a very contemporary situation. As you mentioned, the young guys working on the farm, and there's a bit of a romantic plot with ex-girlfriend who's back from London. And so again, for me, I suppose, especially this, the migrant story is very strong within Irish society. And there's also the male mental health, that he tries to be a big man and not talk about what's happening to him, and I think this is nicely brought out as well in the film. So yeah, works on a number of levels, and I think that's going to be a very popular film in the festival.
Absolutely, it should do well. I noticed a significant number of documentaries in this year's festival with some really wide-ranging topics.
There is, possibly because I'm a documentary filmmaker myself, and one of those documentaries is a short film that I've made with another young woman, Natalie O'Neill. Look, I suppose my my interest is in showing stories of contemporary Ireland and kind of looking at human nature and looking at what makes us tick. And I'm very interested in the politics and the culture, and so the documentaries, they range across the social cultural documentaries such as Pray for Our Sinners, which looks at the impact of the church in the past on small Irish towns. There's the very political documentary, Lyra, which looks at the tragic killing of a 29-year-old journalist in Northern Ireland in 2019, a young woman who was a big advocate for LGBTQI rights. She was writing about growing up in the space after the Good Friday Agreement. But she had also had just signed a credible book deal with a kind of global publisher, so had a very bright future, but unfortunately that was cut short. So this is a very powerful documentary made by a very good friend of Lyra McKee. And then finally, North Circular, which is a kind of an essayist film with a track across the North Circular Road in Dublin, and focuses on the people and the stories and the songs, and a lot of good music with what I'd call mongrel folk, which is a very popular type of folk music coming out of Ireland at the moment, with bands like Lancome, singers like Lisa O'Neill and Gemma Dunleavy, and we've actually used the Gemma Dunleavy track on the trailer for the film. So that's another film that really struck a chord with me. I spent a lot of time in Dublin in my youth at university, and stayed in some not so salubrious rental accommodation, of which there is plenty along the North Circle, and unfortunately Dublin is experiencing the same kind of rental crisis as Australia at the moment. There's a big news in Dublin, and it's also something that's touched on in the film.
Okay, I'm happy for you to discuss your film. Is it Taking Roots to Australia? Is that your film?
Yeah, Taking Roots music to Australia. So it's
Yeah.
play on the idea of taking roots. So it's a documentary that explores migrant communities, and two in particular, which is the Irish migrant community and the African community, in this case Ghanaian, the Ghanaian community, and in a way what we were looking at was how an old migrant society, not migrant community in Australia, is contrasted with a kind of a younger migrant community. And we do that through music. So we put a Irish Céilí band, a traditional Irish music band, together with a Ghanaian drum ensemble, and they rehearsrsed and performed separately and then together. I think one of the strong things for me that comes out of it is how people, use culture, and in this particular instance, songs and music to communicate, but also to celebrate and to make sense of the new place that they've come to, and and it also connects them back to where they've come from. And I think in total, there's a lot of joy there, which really comes out in the music. So that's our little documentary. 18 minutes, is short.
Okay, very good. Now let's talk about some of the other feature films like Holy Island, It's in Us All, Roy's and Frank, etc.
Well, Roisha August Frank is a Irish language film, and we had a lot of success last year with on Colleen Kuhn, which was nominated as an international film to the Oscars. Roisha and Frank is very different in that it's quite a wacky comedy. About a woman who her partner dies, and then she believes that he has come back to her in the form of a dog, and so and it goes downhill from there. But it is pretty funny. The performances are fantastic, especially the dog. They had to bring him in from England, but. That is again, this just I've just been over in Ireland in July, and the the Irish language is just going from strength to strength. There's just a really good vibe, a lot of young people, a lot of young musicians rapping in Irish, and so yeah, I think we can expect plenty more films in the Irish language. It Is in Us All is a very different film. It's quite a tough film. It looks at a young Londoner coming back to Donegal in the north west of Ireland, and quite a visceral exploration of masculinity, and Antonia Campbell Hughes, the director, has got a lot of plaudits for this film. It's got a lot of Donegal landscape, but it's quite it uses it as a character in the movie almost, but it's quite a tough film, quite an interesting use of the film medium in that exploration. And I know you mentioned Holy Island,
yes,
which is in the online festival, and this is a film by Robert Manson, who we actually had his first feature back in 2015. But this is again, it's a kind of a experimental film where the characters are kind of in a dystopian future, looking to escape from a small town, and quite a poetic film and a lyrical film, and again, this is a film that was funded by the Arts Council in Ireland, so quite a strong kind of use of film as a poetic medium there.
Okay, it's such a far-ranging program. And are there any other films that you want to mention, Enda, that we haven't already spoken about?
Look, I suppose actually we've covered we covered them in great detail. Look, Father Des is a film about a priest in Ballymurphy, West Belfast, during the Troubles. He came to prominence during the Troubles. A socialist and a man who was very attached to his community and had very strong views of what Catholicism and Catholic priests should do, and got into trouble with the church and for his views. So that I enjoyed that one. Minker is a film about Irish travellers, and there's some incredible stock archive footage there, and a very interesting community in Ireland. A community that is recognised as an ethnic minority within Ireland. And these are traveling people who are moving around, and they have a strong culture and a strong history, and Minker explores that history.
Okay. Sounds great. Now, if people go to irishfilmfestival.com.au, they'll get more details and booking tickets and all that sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And so in Melbourne, we will have the cinema season at Nova. So we moved from Palace in Collins Street, where we were before, and the season is November 2nd to November 5th. And the online is October 5th to October 15th. And we've partnered up with the good people at the Australian Centre for the Moving Image in Melbourne to run our online festival. And so there are a couple of the films which are in cinema are also playing in the festival, but then we do have 7 more titles for the online festival.
Excellent stuff, Enda, as always. Well done on your programming of the festival and making sure audiences see some good Irish productions, which is great. Enda, just to complete the interview, I think you remember I always like asking this. Have you seen any other film or films of late that has impressed you?
Yeah, I've got to say I really enjoyed Past Lives. I mentioned in the interview, about the migrant experience, and I've mentioned in conversations with people recently that I feel that I've got more in common with my Cambodian friends or my Indonesian friends or my Colombian friends who have moved to Australia than I would have with people who I grew up with in Ireland, but they have stayed in Ireland, and so that experience of migrancy, is a defining lens. And when I look at my own journey, and so Past Lives, I thought was very very interesting in presenting that dichotomy. This idea of sliding doors is another good description of it. What might have been, and so that was a film that struck a chord. But there's great performances. That the lead is such a charming young woman, and the stories of the young guys, it's just told so beautifully, and just I love that being taken away to the childhood in Korea, and how film could transport me there, and then to New York, and that cosmopolitan melting pot. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was a great 90 minutes in my life.
I fully agree with you. It is an excellent film, and apart from that, we've been speaking to Enda Murray, who's the director of the Irish Film Festival, happening in Australia from the 5th of October online to the 5th of November, the latter part of the festival in the Nova Cinema in Melbourne, and of course nationally. Enda, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thanks a million, Peter. It's always a pleasure.
All the best. See you later.
Thanks very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, Peter, I was just going to ask you: is your are your programs going online? If you could send Emma through a link to any of your programs, which would be online, so that and we can feature them in our social media.
Yes, I can send you through podcasts for my my 2 radio shows, and also this interview will be on my Movie Metropolis YouTube channel as well.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, if you could send them through to Emma, that'd be great.
Will do.
Great. All the best. Thanks, Peter.
All the best, Enda. All the best. See you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye bye.